Amanda Ray, and we are with Northwest Arkansas Musicians Connection in the hall and Jumpsuit Jamey today.
Yes, ma'am.
Now go ahead and forget the rest of that because you and I are just going to have a conversation.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm a chatty guy.
Good, good. Now I'm trying to think back to how long I've known you. Now I do remember probably Bear's Place was the first time I saw you play in person.
Okay, that's been a minute.
It's been at least 10 years.
And I miss Bear's Place.
I do too.
There will never be another Bear's Place.
I know.
How could there be? It was a special place in time and space.
Jessica and I go back and forth all the time about recreating a Bear's Place environment and that type of. It's one of those, you can't build a music venue with that in mind. You can't build that kind of chemistry just out of the box.
No, it evolves.
Yes.
And it's a function of and a result of the people that come and the love that's there. And you know, one of the reasons I think we've often looked back at Bears and thought, what made it so special, with the idea of how do we recreate that magic? And I think part of it was the proximity. You know, it's snug, it's cozy, and so when you get a lot of people in there, the energy level it's like the old Barnhill compared to the new Walton Arena. Walton Arena's great. We all love it. You can get a lot more people in there. But Barnhill, you were so stacked in there that the energy was palpable. And the same with Bear's Place.
It's one of those places that hosted songwriters circles. It hosted Rachel Fields and Brick Fields, the
Silver Shakers.
Silver Shakers were born out of there.
Can I say that on TV?
We can say whatever we want.
Woo, that's good. Because I cuss like a sailor.
Good, me
all
too.
Right.
I'm the daughter of 2 sailors, so it's born bred in me. So I wanted to kind of get a little backstory on you. Mm-hmm. Who the hell are you? Where the hell are you from, and why are you here?
Well, let's see. I was raised up on a rice farm in southeast Arkansas, Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Okay.
And I left skid marks getting out of there as soon as I graduated high school. Came to Fayetteville and entered what to me at the time was a paradise. Yeah. I mean, I remember specifically walking around on a summer night and thinking, what is it about this place? It feels so good. I mean, it's like lighter gravity or something. And then I realized that I wasn't spending about half my time going, you know, because I was raised up in Stuttgart. Yeah. Stuttgart is like the land of the off commercial. You remember remember that old, well, you're probably way too young for this, but there used to be an old black and white commercial for Off, the insect repellent, where the guy would stick his arm in this aquarium full of mosquitoes and show how well
make
it
them
worked.
Fall off.
Well, if you're from Stuttgart, you looked at that commercial and went, that ain't that many mosquitoes. I mean, growing up there, you long ago quit doing this.
So that's where we get for the Arkansas State bird being the mosquito.
Being the mosquito. But what I was going to say is, you not only had to worry about them biting you, but if you played baseball at night, for instance, under the lights, you had to worry about breathing them in.
Oh, goodness.
You ain't lived till you had a mosquito sucked up your nose.
Oh, well.
But anyway, that's where I grew up. As far as musically, my grandpa, who was more or less the father figure in my life, was born in '03. And so a lot of the honky-tonk music we play, Hank Williams, Letty Frizzell, Ray Price, that was his fare. And I noticed, I play Cajun music too. Well, those songs in Cajun French, that might take me a month to learn a song.
Yeah.
But some of these old honky-tonk songs, I know the lyrics without even knowing that I know them.
Right.
They just come.
They're just more of an emotion than they are.
Well, the specific lyrics, I'll swear I've never heard that song before, and yet I pick them lyrics up right away, like I know them already.
How fun.
So that's my musical roots.
I wanted to discuss, the past of how you got to where you're at here playing the Fayetteville music scene, the Northwest Arkansas music scene. But I also want to discuss the people that you're playing with, because what I see is...
I'm glad to talk about them.
What I see
That's
is
my
a
major
throwback to that old country, that classic feeling, and it's began a resurgence in younger musicians and in younger audiences.
Well,
And
good. About
so
time.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the folks that you play with.
Okay, well, let's just take them from stage left. JT Huff on the lap steel. A lot of people know JT from JT's Sound Productions. You know, he was the sound company for what, 35 years here in Northwest Arkansas. Did all the big acts that would come to town. COVID slowed him down. You know, that was a death blow to a lot of music-related industry. Anyway, he's on the lap steel. And, you know, I've often remarked that, how the hell, JT, do you play this music so well being an upstate New York boy? You know, you didn't grow up with this.
New York City.
Yeah, from New York. Well, not New York City. You know, New York's got country too. And
Nice.
JT, like I say, was from upstate. Next to him, behind him, usually in how we're sitting, is Keith Grimwood on the fiddle. Of course, everybody knows Keith from Trout Fishing in America.
Yes.
But, you know, I just called him this morning to tell him what a damn fine job he did on fiddle Saturday night. We played a private gig. It was a 3-hour gig, and I could have played for 6 hours.
Aw.
Michael Becker's 70th birthday party up on Mount Sequoia. A lot of cool people there. Some traveling musicians like Sean Harrison were there.
Nice.
And, man, we just had a ball.
Yeah.
We ain't never played that good for so few people.
Right? Those smaller gigs that are more intimate like that lend to a better experience.
Like what we were saying
Overall.
about Bear's Place. You know, you're right there. There's not the separation between the audience and the band.
And you play a lot at the American Legion.
Yeah, and at the Moose Lodge in Springdale. That's my raison d'etre, is to play for dancers. So I want to play dance halls. Somehow we're also the best fed band in Northwest Arkansas, I maintain, because it seems like everything we play, there's food there.
Nice.
And I love that, but dancers is who I want to play for, because I myself am primarily a dancer.
Yes.
I'm primarily a dancer and a guy who evidently, through no fault of my own, has the ability to surround himself with musicians that are a hell of a lot better than I am.
Nice.
So we got JT, we got Keith on the fiddle. God, he sounded so good. So did JT the other night. And then behind them, now he wasn't there at the gig this Saturday, but our most recent addition to the band, Steve Wilkes. You know, when we lost Matt Norwood on the drums, I was heartbroken. I thought, well, this is it. I mean, this band's just gonna, who knows what's gonna happen.
Solid.
Well, we picked up Steve Wilkes,
Wow.
who, as you might know, was recently inducted into the Arkansas Drummers Hall of Fame.
I do know.
And Steve has brought some energy, and I mean, he does things that he doesn't even know he does that make the rest of us look back and go, whoo.
Get you excited to play it again.
Oh, yeah. And for a dance band, having a
Yes.
drummer that does that stuff, that's mighty fine. Then next to him, usually, let's see, on my stage right, immediate right, is Mike Rickard on the Telecaster and whatever other electric guitar he may be happening to play, who he don't ever play a song the same way twice.
Fun.
But what a country feel that guy has.
Oh, how
and
fun.
as you might know, his band, that Matt Norwood, our former drummer, were part of the Silver Shakers. They won the Ameripolitan Award a few years back for best new rockabilly band in the country.
They were amazing.
So Mike's stellar. I mean, everybody loves the way Mike plays, and he and I have been playing together for, 25 years?
Wow.
In different forms of the band.
Arrangements.
Yeah. And then last but not least is a name that everybody knows because he's in everybody's band, is Kevin Watkins.
I knew
on the
you were going to
bass.
say
Yeah,
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin is everywhere. He is one of those guys. And he injects himself into every music situation, and he holds his own. Note for note.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin's plays that big old fat bass line, that walking bass that you got to have in country music.
Yes.
You know, it really moves the dancers. And as a side note, for some reason, it's inexplicable. We can't figure it out. But Kevin Watkins draws the prettiest women in Northwest and the coolest women in Northwest Arkansas. he ain't much to look at. So
He's
he
a
must.
genuinely nice guy.
Is that what it is?
It's what it is. We feel safe in his presence. There's been several times he's come and hung out with me and my girlfriends, and
Right.
he's never made us feel uncomfortable, which is a big deal, especially in the music business.
Yeah, I haven't
For
attained
women,
it.
we have to tolerate a lot. We're supposed to dress a certain way and present a certain way and act a certain way and tolerate a certain behavior from unwanted attention from places.
Right.
And so those people that have never made us feel uneasy, or we appreciate those more than most. We've never been made to feel that guy doesn't belong around other women. And Kevin's one of those guys. He's a great guy. Great guy. And he's a damn fine blues player because he sat in with my blues band before.
Oh yeah, Kevin, man, he's the utility. He's the roving shortstop of bass players.
And he was in that movie, the Wonderland Cave movie they did that Patty
I heard
Steele
that.
was in.
I heard
and
that.
I mean, so many local musicians. Krista Bradley was the writer and director of that movie that
Okay.
was shot in a cave in
Yeah,
Bella Vista, Arkansas.
I know the cave.
Have you ever played in there?
No, that's before my time, kind of.
See, we need to do more research on that thing.
They had more. I want to say that was the place you went for a big band dinner and a date and dancing kind of a thing.
I like a secret, hidden.
Can't get much more
Place.
secret and hidden than a cave, right?
Right? Only in Arkansas.
But I'm going to go ahead and accept your explanation for Kevin's magneticism. I've got an alternate explanation that Matt Norwood and I came up with.
Okay, please.
That he's actually a secret agent. That he's like a James Bond type spy. That all his pictures of his kids and stuff you see on Facebook. That's all he created that and really.
I buy that story. Let's shoot a movie about that story.
Kevin Watkins, double knot spy.
That's lovely. I can't get that image out of it, but he's got like a bowler hat on and a trench
Oh, a
coat.
bowler hat, a
and
trench coat. Okay, I was thinking more of the tuxedo kind of
Well,
casino
that's underneath
Royale.
the bowler hat because he's got
Gotcha.
the duality of going in and out of the
Gotcha.
big event, and he's back in the alley. Sorry, Kevin, we have a whole backstory for you that you did
Kevin.
not consent to.
Books should be written. That's all I could say.
So let's talk about some of the other bands that I've seen you partner up with lately, and I think it was the Nighttimers that you guys did a show together at the Legion.
Shyla Molina and Doc Hopper. God, I love them. To me, they're better than anything that I've heard come out of Nashville in 15 years,
I love to hear that.
at least, maybe in 20 years.
And so they're over in Eureka Springs primarily,
They
but
are.
they've been making the drive over here and playing a lot more. They've got my attention for sure. And again, that's when I kind of go back
Well,
to.
they're magnificent.
They are, and they're
incredible.
magnetic.
Yes, and I had my private skepticism about going to see them as a dance band.
Right?
Because that's what I go for. As like I say, I'm
Is it
primarily a
danceable?
dancer. I want to go dance. And I thought, two-piece, for dancing, I'm sure I can. I don't know how full the experience is going to be. Well, I saw them at what's the stage, God, I'm so sorry, James Nicholson. I got to remember the name of it's in Mountainburg or close to Mountainburg, Winslow. They put on shows
Winfest?
there. No.
No.
They do regular shows like every Saturday. Oh my God.
There's like a mountain jamboree thing. Is that the one
Ozark
you're talking about?
Folkways.
Oh, yes.
That's it. So I went to see Shyla and Doc there, just those two, and it was great. I danced the whole night. It's amazing the sound that they get.
So if you were to build your ultimate festival of dance, just a dance festival with bands that you've played with, including, let's put them as the opener for the day.
Okay. Shyla and Doc, State House Electric.
Yes!
They're a great dance band. Now, there's a band you're probably not familiar with. I just went to see them last night. They drive up from around the Ozark area, I believe. It's called the Lawman Band.
Now, I like
excellent.
hearing about a new band. Tell me
They're
about
excellent. Well, I don't know what to tell you. That boy, Tex, and I say boy, he's probably my age. Him and Hell, some other yahoos from Ozark, they're all older, I think.
Nice.
Like most of the people that play good music anymore. Excuse me. They all dress the same, with the cowboy hats and the vests and the white shirts.
I appreciate that.
I love that in a country band.
I like to see a good show. Anybody can have a gig in their yard or as an afterthought on a patio somewhere. But to see someone put a little thought into the show, and that's one thing that you've always done. I mean, when you came and did our
The Mardi Gras thing?
our Mardi Gras thing, yeah, I mean, every one of y'all were dressed up and ready to go. More so than even I, the host.
I don't know. I thought y'all looked good. There was some damn fine costumed clientele.
We had fun,
night.
but I knew for sure that I wanted to hire a band that fit in a theme, that would play the right music, that would take it to heart and take the event personally, and you did, and you did a wonderful job. And it seems like that you do that with every venue and every event that you do.
Well, I think that's part of the band presentation, and then there's a certain psychology to having everyone dressed the same. They all wear the same shirts. Okay, well that makes us a not just 5 guys, but a unit.
Yes.
There's a cohesive unit there, and there's power in that. I mean, that's why businesses all over have uniforms, because it looks like they're a team. Now, they may not be a team worth a damn, but at least they look like one.
Right? At
And
least
so-
you have a level of expectation that they have some of their shit together.
That's it. That's right. That's exactly right. And a lot of times you will not only believe, but perceive the reality. You'll make that persona the reality.
Yeah.
Just because you look like a good band, then people might walk away going, "Oh, pretty good band." Whether you really were, maybe, or not. And then another thing about having all my guys dressed the same is I dress differently than they do, because I'm in the jumpsuit. Hell, I dress differently than anybody because I'm wearing a jumpsuit. Well, then I'm the band leader. There's no question I'm the band leader. So that makes me a focal point, to concentrate on as well. So there's a psychology to that too. It's silly for me, at least I know the private internal truth. I present as a star, as the guy, and it's a real tongue-in-cheek for me personally because, as I said, I'm surrounded by musicians that are one hell of a lot better than I am. However, I'm not shy with a microphone.
Right. And you have to carry that level of confidence in order to be that person that's in the front, in the center. I mean, you're carrying not just yourself, but everybody on stage with you. They're kind of depending on you
Absolutely.
to kind of peer through over that fourth wall to the audience and create that connection with the musicians.
Absolutely. And as a band leader, it's amazing how fractured your attention needs to be.
Yeah.
Like, getting stoned and playing music is great. Getting stoned and be a band leader sucks. I would not recommend it to anyone because I'm not only thinking about the singing and the playing the rhythm guitar and how the vocal dynamics and the dynamics with the mic, and I'm listening to myself so I get it right, and I've had to learn that because I'm just a guy who sings at the grocery store.
Right.
I've never had any kind of training or anything. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about who do I want to give a solo to, and how long should I do it? Should I run this song again? How many dancers have we got? What's going on with the dancers? What's the dynamic? What's the feel of the crowd? And of course, I also keep up a pattern with the audience. I engage with the audience. I feed off the energy like any musicians do, but I'm in more direct contact with them. So I'm thinking about all those things. Do we need to up the sound level on the bass as we go, or there's a gazillion things, and
You need to
many of
clone
them
yourself.
I'm not thinking of right now. So, with trying to cover all that,
I saw something the other day that reminds me of, and it was for art, but it said if you want to try drawing wizards, to use still photographs of orchestra directors. as they're
Interesting.
in, because what you're
Interesting.
doing is, it looks like you're casting spells, and what
Right.
you just described, essentially that's a lot of spell work that you're doing.
Except that orchestra leader, he ain't singing. He
No.
ain't playing anything, so he's concentrating totally on that.
And God forbid you ever forget a lyric,
Oh, well,
because you're just the singer.
yeah, I do the country version of scat. So,
Nice.
You know, I'll blah, 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 something
Right?
out of the
You
microphone.
have no idea what I said or didn't say.
And you know, to me, and I've said this before, I figured this out a while back, really learning to play music is really a series, different levels of learning how to fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, first you learn to fuck up by yourself at home.
Yeah.
Then you learn to fuck up with somebody at home.
See?
Then you learn how to fuck up in a band. Then you learn how to fuck up leading a band. In other words, and once I made this decision, it was like a toggle switch in my mind. I used to play music in front of people, and I would be scared out of my mind at first, and then panic, and then really trying hard not to make a mistake. And then one day after a gig where I went through that, I thought, how am I going to feel 2 days after the gig, looking back on the gig? Am I going to be worried about mistakes, or am I going to be disappointed, regretful that I didn't just lay it all out there? You know, like they say about life in general,
Yeah.
when we look back, it's not the things that we screwed up that bother us the most, it's the things we didn't do.
Right.
So once I figured that out, to just go up there and let it all hang out and then deal with mistakes as they come, you know, it's a hell of a lot easier to fix a mistake than it is to do things perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, so learn how to deal with mistakes and then just go.
You're
You know,
giving me
don't
some
draw-
real life advice right
Yeah,
now. I've
don't
been
draw
so hung
attention
up
to
on,
it.
personally, I get hung up on my perfection, like with this show and with Hall of Fame and with all the work I've been doing lately. Just the last year, I feel like my life was on pause for a couple of years, and then I hit play, and it's moving forward. But I'm almost scared to show my hand or to share. And it's like, there's some things, once I pull the trigger and just like, here you go,
It's out there.
beloved feedback. And I'm like, why was I so, but I remember a time before trauma, I'll just be frank, but a time before the world broke me a little bit and I had to rebuild myself, that I used to have fun with letting it all hang out. And it used to, but that performance part was the biggest release for me, because I was able to, there's Amanda off stage, and then there's Amanda Ray. That bitch. That fierce loudmouth, which is really all it is. It's not any more talent than anybody else that I've ever met. I'm loud. And I projected, and I put on a show, and I led my band, and I connected. And I kind of lost that somewhere. And I've been almost scared of getting it back, because why? I don't know.
Boy, once that little fear and self-doubt creeps in, it'll get in there like a splinter and just worry the hell out of you.
It does, but that's what I love about this and having these conversations, is because I'll sit and watch people on stage and do the show and get their energy into it, and I know that they fight the same demons that I fight before they walk on that stage and when they walk off. But they're able for that moment to put that aside and put on a show, and that inspires the heck out of me, to make me say, well, my problem is not as big as I think it is. It's really not.
It never is.
It's really not, and it's sure not as big as all of these adoring people that show up to shows and that buy tickets and that come dance and that come be a part of your life. They have no idea, you know, all of the little things that you're letting stop you from yourself. So just share it, do it, put it out there, let it all hang out. It's art.
And you know, talking about it from the audience's perspective, the converse is also true. If you've ever heard a speaker or a musician or a performer of any kind, if they're nervous and tight, your feeling is, oh, come on, dude, just let it out. It doesn't matter. It don't matter if it's crappy. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. I want to see that. I would rather see that than you performing perfectly, but you're uncomfortable the whole time. I'm actually better at ping pong than I am at anything I've ever done in my life.
Really?
You probably didn't know that, right?
No.
I've been the state champ several times.
This is fascinating.
Of course, it's been a while, and I'm also an international umpire. I mean, they fly me to major tournaments to officiate.
Stop it.
Yeah, there's a whole kingdom of nerds out there that you never knew anything about.
I love nerds.
But I tell you what, yeah, me too. All of life's lessons can be learned in ping pong.
Okay.
And one of the big ones, and this relates to what we've been talking about, is you want to play to win, not play to not lose. Playing to not lose is the kiss of death. Because even if you win, you were tight. You were trying to aim stuff. You were worried about missing. No, man, you just got to let it fly.
Just play.
And then if you lose, you still feel okay. But I would rather lose and play loose and have fun than I would be to win, but I was tight and uncomfortable. And that relates to a stage. It's better to get up there and just let it all out and enjoy yourself from your side, because people pick up on that. We pick up on that, than it is to go out there and be all tight, because that's going to make us uncomfortable too in the audience.
Define success.
Being yourself. Because, hell, what can go wrong then?
I love it.
As long as the crowd doesn't show up with torches and pitchforks after the performance, or you're like me and say stupid shit all the time, I get in trouble.
The way I see a torch is it's dark. So I need someone to bring some light, because it's really dark in here anyway.
Ooh, it's warm.
Pitchforks? I like spaghetti.
Okay, yeah, you're making some lemonade out of lemons.
We can always turn it around a little bit.
But the giddiest, the highest energy I feel is when we play and there's people out there dancing and having a good time. I love watching the dancers. I feel that. I'm one of my, I guess you'd call it my shtick, but I just do it not because it's a shtick, because I like to do it, because I'm compelled to do it, is in the middle of a song, I'll say, okay, boys, y'all just keep on playing, and I'll jump off the bandstand and go dance.
Autopilot, and then you go. So
yeah.
let's dive into this. When did you start dancing?
Let's see. Well, I wrote a bio. I still ain't put it out as a dance instructor.
Okay.
I'm starting a dance class this week, actually a 6-week course that filled up in like 24 hours. I've got 15 couples in there. I'm teaching them beginning two-step, and I've got an advanced class after that.
Oh, wow.
But as part of that bio, my mama was pregnant with me at 16, and she was quite a jitterbug dancer. That was the
Yes.
Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis days. So she was a jitterbug dancer. My dad was too. And so I have that in my background, even though we didn't dance in Stuttgart, Arkansas, except, the wiggle worm dancing that everybody was doing in the 70s. And then I guess it was, I don't know if it was Cajun music or country western music, but I got married and moved to Denver the next day, and this was in the mid-'80s.
Wow.
The height of the urban cowboy craze.
Ah.
Right? So I went out and took dance lessons at this, by that time I was single, that didn't last long. Anyways, went out to this bar called the Four Seasons. It's a real famous bar in Denver back during that time. It's since burned down back in the 80s. But anyway, the dance floor was huge. There were about 100 people there for that dance class. I mean, like I say, it was huge. It was taught by this legendary figure, Texas Charlie, who had come from the Houston area. Nobody knew Charlie's last name because he was on the run from the IRS, right? He was a contractor. So anyway, in a previous life. So anyway, he taught the dance class. Well, out of that 100 people, after it was over, he singled me out. He came over to me and said, hey, I see you're really sociable, because I am, I'm chatty Cathy, and you seem to be picking up on this real quick. He said, how would you like to be an assistant for me? and all the dance classes I teach at various places here in Denver. And then dance, and you can have all your lessons for free from here on out if you'll dance with the women who don't have partners. Because as popular as it was, I guess in the history of dance, really, there's always more women than there are guys. So, and I run into that same problem myself in teaching dance. So I was going out dance. First of all, that offer for a single 25-year-old was like, is this a trick question? Yeah. So I was going out dancing 5, 6, 7 nights a week. And this is for a couple of years. And so when I left there, I've also lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and some other place. Where else was that other place? Maybe it was in South Louisiana. Kid, I can't remember now. But for the last 35 years or so, I've taught dance.
Wow, and music just happened to be there? Did you play music in school? Or?
Well, I was crazy about, see, there's another story. I ain't nothing but stories.
I like stories.
So me and a buddy of mine, statutes of limitations has run out, so I can tell you this story.
Fair enough.
So we hitchhiked to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. I used to be really into old country blues, you know, Lightning Hopkins, John Lee Hooker, Big Bill Brinsley, Mississippi Fred McDowell, what's his name? Son House. Thank you. And many, many more. But I came across this guy, Clifton Chenier, that played Zydeco, you know, the keyboard accordion. I went nuts for that shit. So me and a buddy of mine, he's passed away now, so I guess I can tell this story even more so. We hitchhiked down to New Orleans to the Jazz Fest. This was about 78, I think, with $35.
From Stuttgart?
No, from Fayetteville.
I
got to Fayetteville in 76, babe. I'm old.
So from Fayetteville to New Orleans, hitchhiked with
$35 and 80 hits of acid. And so we financed the trip with the acid. Well, well, you said we could cuss. I figured I could talk about that too.
I love it.
So anyways, so we hitchhiked down with our wares, you know, that were for sale to finance the trip. And
Tupperwares.
The trip in many ways. So I'll never forget, had, I don't know, 3 or 4 hits in me, and saw a band called Clinton Broussard and his Zydeco machine. Okay, so Clinton Broussard, the band looked like they were spawned from a race of jockeys. They were very slight built little guys. Clinton Broussard played the keyboard accordion, but he had, and this is a black guy, African-American guy, his hair was swept back like a Don King kind of a haircut. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He wore these sunglasses that were convex, so they looked like great big black bug eyes. And he was making sounds on the accordion that were like, and I saw that tripping my ass off, thinking, he sounds like a giant crawdad. I mean, I thought at the end of the performance he was going to like jump on a giant crawdad and ascend into the heavens.
That is great.
It had an effect on me. It made an
that.
impression. And so when I got back to Fayetteville, let's see, what did I paid like $20 for a keyboard accordion, and started hitting. I had an electric guitar that I'd been playing around with, and you know, just a stoner, doodling around with the guitar, trying to be like Lightning Hopkins, and so I got this accordion. Well, being an idiot 19-year-old, you know, I guess all 19-year-olds are idiots with few exceptions. I thought, I'm going to teach myself to play this. No, I don't want nobody showing me nothing. I ain't going to get no book. Reading music, what are you talking about reading music? That's crazy. I wanted to be as if somebody dumped an accordion on a desert island and I found it, so that I would have my own sound.
Right.
Because all my heroes like Lightning Hopkins and John Lee Hooker and Big Bill Brinsley, the aforementioned blues players, I could tell their sound, you know, in a couple of notes.
Signature.
5 seconds, I knew who that guitar player was of that genre. And so I thought, well, that must be how they did it. You know, that's why they sound like themselves. Well, stupid 19-year-old, I wasn't thinking none of them guys grew up in a vacuum. They probably were in musical communities. They heard this guy and that guy and that guy. Probably somebody helped them, showed them a little bit. But so, and it wasn't a continuous learning cycle. Like I'd pick it up for a week, put it down for a month. Pick it up for a couple days, put it down for a couple of weeks. So it was a long, grueling, painful process that could have been made better.
If
if
you
I
just
knew
gone
any
down
other
to the
accordion
crossroads and sold your soul to the devil
Yeah, right.
with this keyboard
Oh,
accordion.
I probably wouldn't have been above it if the devil had made me some offers.
Right, because
but-
I think that's how those actual sounds and talents developed. It was pure black devil magic.
So they say. Yeah, because well. I
that's
won't
not
get into that.
unlike when I had a conversation with Randall Shreve. To be completely honest, I sat here and asked him, so you play every instrument yourself on your albums and you come up with all your things, and where did that stem from? And lack of anybody else. I mean, he had his brother. He and his brother played,
Right.
but not all the time.
Right.
And it was just him and the desire to continue making sounds and noise and music and looping it together, and just there's Randall Shreve, and then there's Jamey, and there's anybody who sits with themselves long enough making a sound, and then they look up and go, "Is this music?"
Well, and the story of how I started playing in a band is serendipitous as well, because I was playing my keyboard accordion at home, laboring in obscurity, which is a good place to labor.
Right.
And my daughter had karate lessons. She was this high. She was a little bitty thing, 5 or 6. And she had karate lessons in Evelyn Hills. And it was an hour long. And I was like, I had to jack around. What am I going to do, digging around the parking lot for an hour? It's hot outside, too. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'll bring my keyboard accordion in every day, because that'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? I'd be taking her to karate, and I'd be playing accordion somewhere besides my house, because my wife tired of that shit a long time ago. So I'm going to play it out in the parking lot. Well, goddamn, it's hot in the parking lot. So I started looking around businesses thinking, I wonder if I gave them $10 every time, they'd let me practice in the back room, in the storeroom. Mm-hmm. Well, that was when, I don't know if you're around or if you're aware of it, but the Green Door, you remember that bar?
The Green Door.
Well, I went in there, and it was about 5 o'clock, and Robert Hadfield was in there tending bar. It was his club, his place. And anyway, they had a stage. And I walked in with my accordion, and there wasn't hardly anybody there at 5 o'clock. They didn't get things going until later in the evening. So I asked him, I said, hey, would you mind if I set up on the stage and just practice accordion? Because, there ain't nobody here to speak of. And he said, and Robert, he's just as blasé as you can be. He was like, yeah, whatever, knock yourself out, I don't give a shit. So I started playing. And then after, I don't know, a few weeks of that, I called my buddy Mike Rickard and said, hey, you want to come down and play with me? So he started showing up after work. And then we got a couple other people. Hell, I forgot to turn this thing on. Then we started getting a couple of, before you know it, well, we had a band
All of a
playing
sudden
up there.
it's a band.
And then so I started telling people to come out, and dance. It wasn't long before we had that place full up.
And that's
rocking.
how the band developed.
That's how it started. And that's how I learned, if you can call it, that's how I learned stagecraft. Because we were playing every Tuesday night for a long time. So that's how I learned about making mistakes on stage. And there were songs, because I taught myself to play the accordion, well, I only played my own songs. I'd write the songs, and I'll tell you about my songwriting process here in a minute.
Yes, we're going to go there.
Because that will be a point of interest, I think.
I want to know.
But anyways, so songs would write themselves as I'd have the song and we'd play it, but you'd start feeling something different while you're up on the stage, and hell, let's do that. Let's do it this way. Let's
Now,
do
did you
this stuff.
stop and
No.
I don't mean in the middle of a song, but after a song, did you ever? Now, this is me going back to my songwriter circles interviews, where I needed to pick apart those songwriting moments, because did you write any lines down after something was done? How did you remember?
Many cases I didn't. Well, now when we played on stage, I don't know how I remembered, but I did. Not lyrics, but just that
The
we didn't stop
composition,
there. We
yeah.
did this thing. This is we did this. I get
So
physical.
would you
with
say
what I
you would
do.
maybe change the lyrics every time, but you got the music
The
relatively
lyrics,
same?
there would be lyrics that would suggest themselves and that I would keep. So yeah, I guess lyrics did change along the way. So my songwriting methodology, I rarely ever get an idea and write a song about it. Instead, what I do is I'm dicking around with the accordion and I find some melody that I like or some lick that I like. Oh man, I'm getting into that lick, and I just do that over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, that suggests a few other things to do. So now I got this really strong melody, this really thing that I'm doing, and I'll be outside working in the garden thinking about that, or messing with the accordion, whatever. And that lick suggests a feeling. There's a feeling that kind of goes along with that. And then that suggests a story. And I start just singing it to myself, and this line builds, and then it gets a little bigger, and then it gets a little bigger. So I'm a big fan of simple song lyrics.
Yes.
I would rather sacrifice meaning for feel and leave it up to the listener
Yeah.
to conjure up the story more. I don't try to paint it too definitely.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be an impressionistic drawing. I mean, not to say that it doesn't have meaning, but again, I will sacrifice that specificity of meaning for the feel, for the flow.
Yeah, sometimes you got to drop a word or two along the way.
That's right. To keep it from being clunky.
Yes.
You can overwrite a song.
To me, that sounds like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and that's another question that I've always had for songwriters is, does a line hit you? Does a story hit you? Does a poem, everybody has a different approach to how a song exists.
Mine definitely, more often than not, starts with a melody. I've got a melody, and then the song decides to write itself.
Now, what
from
about
that.
co-writing? What about your co-writers or other bandmates that you've written with over the years? Does anybody stick out to you that you've had a
Well-
favorite? Now, again, let me redirect here. We're talking Hall of Fame, Northwest Arkansas Music Hall of Fame. So, when I say that, who does it bring to mind that has helped craft your career and what you pay attention to and are involved in?
Okay, I have an answer for that, but let me give you a little bit of backstory first.
Okay.
I'm a control freak. If we're in the car, I want to be driving. If I'm at the table tennis club, I'm running it. If I'm in the band, I'm running it. If it's a dance lessons, I'm teaching them. I want to be in charge. Ain't nobody else do anything to suit me. Now, having said that, though, as far as shaping my music and the sound, there's no question that's been Mike Rickard. He's been my, if not my best friend, he probably is my best friend, but definitely one of my best friends. And for 20, 25 years, I don't know, I don't keep up with the calendar, but for a long time, Mike and I have played together in some shape, form, or fashion. I have 3 phases of musicianship that I'll talk about here in a minute.
Okay.
3 totally different incarnations of Jumpsuit Jamey or Jamey Hall playing music. But Mike's been with me on every one of them. And especially on keyboard accordion where I have my own sound that's, I don't know what the hell you call it. It's definitely influenced by Cajun and Zydeco and country music, but it's its own thing. But when Mike and I were playing, I had the sense many times that, hey man, we're creating something that ain't never been done. I mean, the way the electric guitar and accordion are playing off each other and the sound that we're coming up with, I mean, I felt like Lennon and McCartney, that we're making magic. This is something special. This is, we're doing this and then it's becoming something, that ain't never existed before. However, we're both married and like to remain so. And so our time together to do that is extremely limited.
Yeah.
Because I don't know too many women going to put up with that shit, where we're together all the time, we ain't paying attention to them. No, that don't fly. So, I mean, it takes a pretty special, I don't want to say special lady because we're both married to special ladies, but someone who's really all about the music themselves.
Okay, tell me, where'd Jumpsuit Jamey come from?
So, let's see. Strap in, folks. You're about to hear a story. So, I was at the Festival of Cayenne, which is the Cajun Woodstock, basically, in Lafayette, Louisiana. They get literally hundreds of thousands of people there.
I need to go to this.
It's amazing. It's like they've got 4 or 5 stages set up, all the good Cajun bands there, dancers. Woo! What you talking about? So, in fact, they'll start with, it's in Girard Park, and there'll be these beautiful lawns out there for about 30 minutes. And then the dancers, it ain't long before that grass it's dirt. And there's places you can't stand because of the dust clouds that will be kicked up by the dancers. And in fact, some of the Cajun musicians, before they start a really fast number, they'll come at the microphone and say, "All right, y'all now, we're going to kill that grass." And then, they play a hopping little tune. Well, I'm out there dancing my ass off. And then I happen to glance over, and I see this man in a green seersucker jumpsuit. And it's like time stopped. And this man had a glow about him. And I had to stop dancing, went over to him, and I talked to him for like the next half hour, maybe longer than that, because both of us are chatty guys. His name is Joe Gilbo. I don't know if Mr. Joe is still living or not. I've kept up with him a little bit over the years. But that jumpsuit, man, I mean, that was the most elegant dress that I, in my weird self, could imagine. It's like I would wear that to the White House. And so when I got home, I got on the internet and searched around, green seersucker jumpsuit, in the search engine, and I couldn't find one. But it kept in the back of my mind. Every once in a while, I'd look for it. Finally, I found it. And it was they were made by a company in Dallas, a 3-generation company.
Nice.
Called Sweet Jumpsuits. Well, I ordered a green seersucker jumpsuit and a gold seersucker jumpsuit. And when they arrived, it's like, really? Can I wear this in public? Because it feels like I don't have anything on.
I would have paid to watch that unboxing video.
Oh, you talk about a kid in a candy store, man, a Christmas morning for me. So anyway, I had that jumpsuit. I was really proud of it. And so I called them and gushed about it and how wonderful I thought they were. And then I told them that I was coming to Dallas, that could I stop at your place, and come see you. And they said, yeah, sure, drop by, whatever. Well, I'm sure they forgot about that, right? So just so happened I was an umpire for the national team selection in table tennis in Fort Worth.
Of course.
But I thought, I'm going to stop in at the jumpsuit place and on
show
the way
off
in.
your threads.
Oh yeah. Well, I had the green seersucker jumpsuit and I had my straw-colored Trilby hat on, and this place was not a place for walk-in traffic. They were like in an industrial park, one building in that industrial park.
Sir, this is a business.
Right. They don't get walk-in people. It ain't about that. It's a warehouse where they ship from.
Yeah.
And they contract the sewing someplace in Mexico. So they don't do anything there. They don't sell anything there. It's just them. Well, I walked in. There were 2 offices. And there was a lady in this, behind the glass partition, there was a lady in this office and a guy in this office on the phone. And when I walked in, the lady looked at me and said, sir, can I help you? And I said, yes, ma'am. I said, I'm here about the male modeling position. And she said, male modeling? She said, well, you look good. And it was true. I looked fabulous in that jumpsuit. She said, you're going to want to talk to my husband. And so he was on the phone, and after he got off, of course, he's looking out there and going, who the hell is that? Who is this person? And he said, he asked me, what I was there for. I said, and I told him the same spiel. I'm here for the male modeling position. And well, it didn't take long of talking back and forth for him to realize that I wasn't there for a male modeling position. I was that guy, that loony guy from Arkansas he talked to on the phone. But I was so enthusiastic. I'd had double dose of my morning coffee, right? So I'm just blah, 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 talking, gushing about the jumpsuits. And so they gave me a tour of the warehouse, right? He's showing me all the jumpsuits, all this stuff. Well, meanwhile, I am talking about how I think jumpsuits are the next big thing, that that they should be making $1 million, that I promote them everywhere I go, and blah, 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 blah. Well, his wife, is trailing behind us and listening to this. And she said, hey, would you be willing to make some videos with us if I went home and got my video camera? Because everything you're saying is what we want on a video, and I've been wanting to make a video.
Yeah.
And I said, hell yeah, sure. She said, we'll pay you to do it. And I said, no, I don't need pay. I mean, this is a labor of love, right? She
I
said,
just want 3 jumpsuits.
oh, I'm getting to that. So while I'm talking about the jumpsuits, while we're touring, she said, hey, would you like this jumpsuit? Would you like this? Well, the only time I ever say no is when they ask me if I've had enough. And so I said, yeah, I mean, I'm like my little brother. If it's free, it's for me. So I walked out of that place. Well, I mean, we filmed the videos. I walked out of there with $1,000 worth of jumpsuits. I probably had 20 jumpsuits. And I'm talking about styling jumpsuits, right? Seersucker and solid. Ones with epaulets, on the shoulders, different colors. And so, I mean, I'm riding a crazy high when I leave that place,
That's
right?
hilarious.
So I call my family, talk to my wife and my daughter especially. She's about, I don't know, she's probably 13 at that time. And I said, baby, I told her the story, and I said, I own this town, Dallas. And she said, no, Daddy. She said, you own a really small, really weird part of it. So anyway, that's how the jumpsuits. That's the story of the jumpsuits. And I've written a song about the
entire jumpsuit journey.
That biography of the jumpsuit journey. That's right. I'm glad to sing it for you if I can remember the words. And it answers the musical question: can you say green seersucker jumpsuit 13 times in a song and get away with it?
See, I personally cannot now.
Yeah, I maintain the answer is yes.
So tell me about your 3 phases of your
three phases. First, it was the keyboard accordion.
Okay.
With writing the songs, doing my own music, playing with Mike Rickard, and I think Sid Simons was on the drums, Ray Palmer on the fiddle, bass player Robin Ruiz on the bass, and that was our homemade music. Keith Grimwood, that's how I met Keith Grimwood.
Okay.
He told me we were his favorite band at the time, and that coming from Keith Grimwood, that means everything. What a beautiful human being, and one that I look up to. So there was that. Then I went down to the Festival of Cayenne years later. I hadn't been there in a long time. And I remember we got real stoned before we went in. And I just couldn't wait to get dancing, right? So we got real stoned. And I was hearing that music. And I don't know if I'll be on camera when I'm doing this, but I heard that music, and I was like the cartoon cat with the tuna, the smell of tuna leading it. And I was taking these big old steps to get up there. And the rest of the people that were with me, Mark McGee and Jeremiah Estes and Casey. Anyway, I was going, come on, y'all. Hurry up, y'all. Come on. I was like just short of sprinting up there, right? So I get up there, and I immediately start dancing like crazy. And I mean, the shoes are in my way. I kick the shoes off. I'm barefoot dancing, and I dance for like 6 hours. Well, within 30 minutes, I've got a stone bruise on the bottom of one of my feet. And my feet, I'm running off enthusiasm, right? So I'm not paying attention to how much I'm damaging my body, because the spirit was willing. Well, the flesh wasn't capable. I don't think there's any flesh capable of what I was doing at the time. And so by the end of the thing, when we were going back to the car, I'm like, wait up, y'all. Wait up. Oh, man, I was hobbled. I was hurting.
Oh, you danced holes in your jumpsuit.
So that's when I realized, I'm never going to get that Cajun sound that I love without a Cajun accordion. Yeah. And a Cajun accordion is a whole different animal than a keyboard accordion. Keyboard accordion is set up like a piano, and it's a chromatic instrument, which means, among other things, that when you depress a key, it makes the same sound pulling out on the bellows than it does pushing in on the bellows. The reed is a double reed, and it's the same note. On a squeeze box, on the Cajun accordion, which technically is a melodeon, it's a diatonic instrument. It's like a harmonica. When you press a button down and you pull out, that's a different sound than when you push in. So even though the keyboard accordion is this big, really complicated looking instrument, if you don't believe it, pull the cover off.
Right.
It's like some steampunk nightmare over on the left-hand side with 120 buttons.
Wow.
Right? And not to mention 48 keys, or I don't know how many there are. I count them every once in a while. That little squeeze box is a lot harder to play.
I can imagine.
Because you not only have to think about what your right hand's doing and what your left hand's doing, but which direction you're doing it
All
in.
the little nuances that make
Oh,
every
yeah.
sound in between.
If I had one with me, I'd show you. And I often do, but I don't have one in the truck right now. And that's another story. But anyways, but you have to think about what direction you're going in. And let's say you've got a push note that's supposed to happen, but you're about the end of the push. What do? You have to have the forethought to take that air button and it out a little bit so you got room to do that. While you're playing a melody like it's amazing.
While remembering lyrics.
Oh yeah, that are in Cajun French, which I don't speak. I know I understand a little bit of it. Cajun accordion players, they're freaking amazing.
They're wizards.
They are wizards. But like my buddy's dad, my buddy Brian LaFleur, his daddy Dowell lives round about Mamou area. He said, you shake a tree in Louisiana and 5 accordion players fall out of it. Yeah, and they have been playing, they've heard that music so much of their lives, and they've been playing for so long that they really don't understand what it's like to not be able to.
Right.
Like the first time they heard that Cajun music was in their mama's belly when they were on the dance floor.
That's true.
You know, from the womb to the tomb, they've been hearing that music.
That's so
But
true.
for somebody outside the culture to come in and try to learn it, it's a whole different deal.
That's very true.
So the things that they're able to do, and the ease with which they do it, many of them, the really good
And
musicians,
that's unique
it's amazing.
to only that area of the United States, like in the whole world. That Cajun music sound with that accordion.
Yeah. Oh, they ain't
that
no
is-
other place like it.
And so you've drawn that inspiration and brought it up here to Northwest Arkansas.
Love it. Absolutely
and
adore it.
created your own genre and vein.
Yeah, I'm an
and
Arkansas
that's-
boy trying at it.
I would say that's pretty damn Hall of Fame worthy
Why, thank you.
for you.
I ain't going to
mean,
argue with you.
The innovation, the songwriting, the musicianship, the band leader, the connections that you're creating with your audience, the dancers. Damn, dude, are you tired? Like,
I'm running on enthusiasm.
I love it.
I love this stuff. And that's why I do what I do. And going back to your definition of success, I don't ever think of myself as like, I'm a success. But I'm doing the stuff that I love.
Exactly.
And just letting it fly.
And you're doing it your way. No excuses, no explanations, just
It's the
Jamey.
only way I know. I mean, when I think of myself, apart from the Jumpsuit Jamey persona, you know, that I'm having on stage, and really I do that for the audience because they don't want to see somebody up there that ain't confident in what they're doing.
True.
So, but really in myself, and if I had to, you know, if I stood before God or whatever, or anybody, the next person I meet on the street, I kind of suck as a musician. I'm not as good as, like I say, my guys in my band, Keith Grimwood, Jesus, Mike Rickard, damn, Steve Wilkes, damn. I mean, JT and Kevin too. They're all awesome. You know, my major talent, I think, is just not being shy with a microphone.
There you go. Those connections. I mean, that's why we're here. The Northwest Arkansas Musicians Connection. That's why I started it, is a way for us. We all have a degree of separation from each other. And when you put us all in the same room, the connections that are made are truly magic. And
I'm loving being with you right now. I
Aw.
mean, you know, it's kind of like, now this is more of that shit you got to put up with from male audience members, but you're pretty easy on the eyes.
Aw,
man.
thank
You're
you.
look good looking.
This is a lot of healing and recovery. I'm 3.5 years sober. So that's
Good for you.
That has a lot to do with how I feel and how I feel I look, and the energy I put into myself. And being sober is not easy. I am a Lay's potato chip. I can't have just one. I cannot indulge even a little bit. I had to take myself completely out of music because I didn't know another way to get over myself to get on a stage without a drink of alcohol.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
anytime anybody
Know
ever
a lot of
saw me
people like that.
perform, I had something to drink. I'm not going to say I was fall down drunk every time, but every time I stepped on the stage, I felt the need to calm the nerves. And the people around you at any given time, here, take a shot, calm your nerves. Here's this, and that progresses.
Did that work?
No.
Okay.
Lord, no.
No, I
Made
don't
me
mean
forget the lyrics.
Yeah, right. I don't mean.
Now, at the time, did I think it worked for me? Well, yeah, that's why I kept doing it.
Right.
Because what I didn't realize is I'm very big on propriety and holding myself as a lady and being presentable, and it's just the way I was raised. But I kind of like that fuck you attitude too.
Right.
And I didn't have a line I would draw between what I would allow the general public to see and what sometimes just your bandmates and your family and friends are supposed to see. I just kind of put it all out there and lived my life wide open. People saw mistakes. They saw things, well, I wouldn't do that. They saw things that they would just tell that, and talk to other people about.
Uh-oh.
Never confront me. No one ever said, I take that back. Jed Clampett said, girl, get sober. Only person in the history of my short-lived blues career to ever tell me to get my shit together was Jed Clampett. So I can't stand to see you drink, girl.
Good for him. And
Now,
good for you.
he continued playing shows with me for a couple of years after that. But I didn't drink in front of Jed. And when you find yourself hiding a piece of who you are because you're afraid of what someone else is going to think, again, it's like, why? I don't want to do that. I want to live my self out in the
what that
open.
thing is.
I didn't need to be drinking. I didn't.
I don't think anybody needs to be, but I'm kind of a prude when it comes to that. And really, it's just because I'm impatient and snotty. Drunks say the same shit over and over again, and it wasn't that interesting to begin with. So I get
really
annoyed.
wasn't. I can't be out late. I still try to go to music venues. I've gotten past the point of feeling that I have to have a drink in order to participate and have fun. I smoke copious amounts of marijuana, and I have coping skills, and I have a very large boyfriend who doubles as security.
I've seen his picture on Facebook.
He's my security guy.
I don't think I'd want to mess with him.
You wouldn't. But he makes me feel secure. But when I start to feel like it's too much, and it's past 10 o'clock, my pumpkin is outside waiting on me. It's never quite been a coach, but you're going to start thinking it looks like one in a minute, and I need to go before it does.
Yeah, it's 8:30 for me and my wife.
Yeah.
I was telling a friend of mine today, somehow I became my grandpa when I wasn't looking.
That's okay. That's okay.
You got to roll with it.
It's one of those things that's where I've spent a lot of my time with the Musicians Connection Building Hall of Fame. I want to have an in-person gala. Of course, I want to have an awards show, a ceremony type thing. That's expensive. Those things. You spend $50,000 to raise $20,000.
Oh yeah, you got to get some sponsor.
So we're working
Hey, rich people,
on
listen up.
that. But in turn, once we get Hall of Fame established and it's a self-running show, my goal is, we are a 501c3, and our main goal is to create a fund for musicians and music industry professionals, gig workers, stage hands, audio guys, the guys that roll cables at the amp. Any of those people at any given time, if you suffer a catastrophic loss, 9 times out of 10 you don't have your own insurance.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to guarantee when you can go back to work. And yes, those gig working, I've stagehand for 7 years at the Walton Arts Center. They took wonderful care of me part-time. because they keep over 300 people employed, so they've got to keep people moving and keep offering job opportunities. And if you get hurt, you get left behind. I haven't worked a job in 3 years there. I haven't been able to take a call. I had a heat stroke. I broke my leg. I broke my back. I broke my skull. I got hurt. So I wasn't able to go back to work physically, but my brain still works. So disability won't tell me, well, you'll be okay. Here's insurance. Here's medical stuff. I have to figure shit out on my own now. So my goal, now that I have straggled and put pieces back in place together for myself, is to be able to help other musicians and hope that they never get down as far and as low as I got ever.
Man.
Ever.
Ain't you something?
Because it sucks. And sometimes you don't see a way out. And I had a very tiny support system that was able to pull me out of it. But we're losing musicians left and right to addiction and to other things that easily we could probably help with and do a little bit better than a fundraiser at George's after they're gone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I'm taking things is we have a health and wellness fund that we're starting. And I want people to be able to come to me and request funds and help. And if we have to do a fundraiser at George's, we're a 501c3. We can do that.
There you
no
go.
more GoFundMe, no more Facebook taking your money, no more any of that stuff. We actually are event planners, and I actually have experience at putting together full festivals for charity. So
That's awesome.
I have
Let me know when you need me to play a dance.
I'm thinking about putting something together, maybe at Prairie Street Live. We're doing.
I need a dance floor, babe.
I got a lit dance floor, LED.
American Legion will let you put one on there, I bet you. Bet you anything.
Want to do something because
We'll get Shiloh Dock and we can get Stateside Electric.
September just ended. That was suicide prevention awareness month. Right now we're in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. One of the big things that led to my addiction becoming as bad as again, and then me getting better, domestic violence situations. So now that we're going into November, December, January, February, the seasonal depressive months, food insecurity and mental health are the first, my first thoughts. So I'd like to put together a fundraiser of some kind to just make sure we have a little bit extra in the bank in case anybody needs blankets, food.
Sure.
I know a lot of musicians that are out there wanting to do and call themselves full-time musicians, and they still are struggling to make ends meet. But that's because they will not give up on their art, and we need desperately. COVID taught us we need art.
Yes.
We need art.
Boy, did we see a resurgence of crowds. After we started playing, it's like, whoa, where'd all these people come from? Well, I think people, yeah, exactly. Well, and I think, yes, they were deprived, but that illustrated to them what they had been taken for granted. The thing that you can go out and do and have community and be with people, and man, that was a good thing. I didn't know I was that thirsty before I had a drink of water.
Right.
Now I was like, damn.
Now I need more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you spending time with me today, Jamey, and sharing a little bit more of you. This show is I'm hoping, will stand forever. So what I'm intending to do with our interview is, again, I am planning that in-person award show, gala situation. I want the Oscars. I want us all sitting there with these interviews flashing on screen with people that have had as we do the things. That's coming. So in order to get there, we got to fund it. So we're going to be putting up YouTube shorts and little bits and pieces of our interview that, we can help promote as we build Hall of Fame.
Well, you probably ought to leave that stuff about the acid off. I'm not sure that's going to help me with my client list.
That's for the archives.
No, I don't care. I am who I am.
Exactly.
I'm not leading with that, with talking with people, but if they ask me, I ain't gonna lie.
We can't change the things that got us to where we are now.
That's right.
Just be happy
and
about
besides,
where we're at.
Even though I've taken all that acid, there's nothing wrong with me. With me.
Yes! You are absolutely the best. Oh, it's so much fun.
Man, it's already an hour?
Has it been an hour?
Oh, it's been past an hour.
See what
Damn,
happens?
I was just getting warmed up.